This is a 1965 Ford Mustang GT. This happens to be a factory GT. But anyway, today we're going to adjust the clutch. So this is the basic setup. When you have it, this car happens to have a 4-speed from the factory. But anyway, you have the brake pedal and the clutch pedal. You'll notice here that the clutch pedal sits higher than the brake pedal. That's because it's got a little space here. What this does, takes the pressure off the pressure plate and lets the clutch disc itself slip. So when you want to shift the car, you press the clutch all the way down and then shift it like from first to second gear. And you let the clutch back up. Now you want to go to third gear, put the clutch pedal back in and shift to third. Okay, so that's the basic system how standard transmission works. Now it's important to have this play in here. So when you press on the pedal, it has a rod that goes through the firewall and goes to a Z bracket that goes to the arm that connects to the throwout bearing. And I'll show that later on. Let's look at the rod first. Alright. Now, looking at, this is from the passenger side, looking to the driver's side. There's the brake pedal. Okay, and here is the clutch. So you can see as I press the clutch in, you see this rod right here goes in and out. All right, now let's go look underneath the hood and see what that does. All right, so as you look under the hood, right underneath the master cylinder, there's this rod. There it is. It comes from, goes through the firewall, connects up to this Z bar right here. But right here, you have two nuts that allow for the adjustment. So you can see this as it goes back and forth. So what happens when you press on the clutch, it goes here, goes, it transmits the force down to the Z-bar, which connects to the frame, and it also connects to the motor, but you can't see that. And I'll show that from underneath. So here's a view from the other side. Here's the steering box. Okay, here is part of the Z bracket. Okay, this spring holds the arm that goes inside the bell housing that holds the throwout bearing, so it keeps this under constant pressure so it doesn't rattle and so it stays engaged. Right? So that rod comes up over to here, goes up, and then it goes back up to behind the steering box where it connects to the rod that comes from the brake pedal, you know, and it goes through the firewall. Let's see, this is a better view. So here's the setup. Here's, well, let's go back from. Here's the bracket that connects up to the throwout bearing. So when you press on your clutch, this rod goes this way, and then changes this lever, and the throwout bearing is resting on the pressure plate. So it presses on those fingers that relieves the pressure, lets the clutch slip so you can switch gears. All right. Now, Yeah, the light is funny. Okay, here's the spring that connects to the bracket, and it holds constant pressure. Alright, and that spring just connects to the frame right back here. So this rod here connects up here, and it bolts onto the Z bracket, and the Z bracket goes up here, and it crosses over. It bolted here onto the frame. It's got a little ball, and there's also a ball here that bolts to the engine. So the transfer of power comes up here, over, and up to the bracket way up on the top, and that's where you adjust it, is right there. I took the air cleaner off so you could make it a little easier to see. What I'm going to do, the first thing, I'll put a little rag there, and then I'm going to put some oil on all this stuff. So I'm just going to wipe this off a little bit. There we go. Okay, so these are 9/16. There. Counterclockwise to loosen it. So, to move the clutch adjustment one way or the other, you loosen this one, and then depending on which way you want to go, you want more clearance, you bring the bolt out farther, and then there's a secondary bolt right behind here that you would tighten up. Just a little stiff because it's never been adjusted. Okay, and once you get that tight, then it changes the location of where the clutch was. So, how much play where the clutch pedal is. So now you look inside, and you'll see that it has a lot more play. Well, everybody says it's between an inch and maybe 3/4. So I want to adjust it back to where it was. Alright, so that it engages quicker. So what I'll have to do is loosen this bolt. What I'll have to do is loosen this nut like this, put it back to where it was, and then tighten this whole thing with this side. Alright, now that we changed it a little bit, let's go and look and see if that's what we want. So you come back to the inside of the car, and it changed it a little bit. So what I think I'm going to do is give it a couple more turns because I want it a little different. So once again, give this a few turns, and then tighten it up with the other side. Okay, let's go check it. and it changed ever so slightly. But as long as you have play, the rest of it is your personal preference. And now, this is no big special deal how this is hooked up. Rod come out, you have the Z bracket, then you have it hooked up. It goes to the lever that moves the lever that controls the throwout bearing as it pushes on the fingers of the pressure plate and leaving the pressure from the clutch so it can spin, so you can change the gears. But this is the same thing as Chevy, Mopar. Everybody's got the same deal. It's nothing special. You know, they just have to change the design just a little bit so the other car manufacturer doesn't complain that they copied the design. But anyway, that's how. It's not very hard to do. You know, as long as where you find out where the adjustments. Now on Chevrolet, the adjustment is way down on that other rod that connects to the bracket that holds the throwout bearing. So it's just a different location, that's all. So that's where it's located, and that's how it's done.